All right. Well, everyone, welcome back to the Ryan Ripken Show, episode 9. A little impromptu for this one here, Brad.
Yes, sir.
We want to try to do this twice a week. Put the phone on silent, Ryan. Rookie move. But hope you guys are doing well.
Hold on.
Hold on. There we go. Yeah, we got to see.
That was driving me crazy.
And so impromptu because later things going on later in the week, so we can't do our normal time on Thursday. A couple events. One coming up on Thursday I'm involved with and helping MC is one of the Cal Senior Foundation events. And then on Friday is Jonathan Ogden kickoff party at the Iron Rooster. So we might just be strapped for time. Might be doing some things there. So stay tuned with that.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to get some things in. We wanted to get a lot. There's football starting. So the reason we want to do 2 shows as well is to be able to talk about, more topics. And we did a football segment last week. We're going to do football this week, obviously, but we're going to get back to talking about some baseball. I'm just going to get this out of the way. We're going to talk about Colorado here. I'm not a bandwagon fan for those out there, by the way.
You had that shirt a while.
Actually, this shirt's recent. It was a birthday gift. Shout out my sister. My sister went to CU. She works at CU. She's been there since 2008. So I have become a fan of Colorado throughout the years. I've endured those seasons, and just to see what happened last week, we'll get into it, was fun. Not a bandwagon, supporting my sister. Go Buffs. What we're getting into today, though, we're going to have our Hear Me Out.
Yep.
We're going to talk a little bit about situations with the Orioles, what's going on. Recently, a couple of guys down on the farm. There's one guy by the name of Jackson Holiday playing some pretty good ball here, Brad.
And Kobe Mayo.
And Kobe Mayo has been dominating, right? So Kobe Mayo, going to have that. Then we'll jump into a little bit of college football. Obviously, the Buffs had a huge game. We are taking questions, so if you would like to ask, fire away.
Yeah.
We're always open to it. And then we'll circle it into NFL kickoff, Chiefs, Lions. It's finally here on Thursday. Grind my gears, get you out of here. It's essentially it. Keeping it pretty light. Am I missing something? I feel like I missed something.
No, I think you're doing all right.
I was frazzled.
Ryan's had a hell of a day.
Guys, I told Brad this. You're going to have some of those days. You think everything's going to go one way, or maybe we always have this thought, and that could be, I'll save it for later with Brad. I think that is my grind, my gears. But things when you have those days, you can just feel it. This is the day I felt that this was just, it couldn't just go smooth sailing, but that's life, right? Shit. So anyway, I'm going to jump into my hear me out of this show. So Brad.
Yes.
Hear me out. It's with the Baltimore Orioles. It's involving the trade acquisitions and Jack Flaherty being one of them. I felt no matter what happened, Jack Flaherty, Shintaro Fujinami were going to be criticized because the Orioles didn't make big moves. And I'm not saying that they're going out there to dominate or that they're going out there. It was kind of a damn if you do, damn if you don't. Unless they went out there and pitched well, everyone was frustrated with how the deadline went.
Yeah.
So every moment for those players is magnified even more. And I don't think that that's fair, but I do think that's the reality. And one of those which was the situation with Jack Flaherty coming off the mound against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
And look, you can say what you want about everything that's going on. And here's an example of the video. And you can tell, I'm not sitting here defending how well he's pitched or hasn't pitched, even though if you want to take a deeper, further step back, Jack Flaherty really hasn't pitched that bad. Everyone's so caught up with the Padres game, which was brutal. And you go, well, Ryan, his ERA is so high. If he gets through that start against Arizona, that's 4 starts of 5 innings or more. That one would be 4 earned runs. And if you want to go back earlier in the game, he had a chance to get out of it. Things here and there, we're talking about that outing differently. And he, in 3 of his starts, has allowed 3 runs or less. So to most people, that would look okay. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
But because of the way that he has quote unquote handled himself, that's been more magnified and people aren't as happy with it. I don't think that's necessarily fair. And a comparison of why I want to bring this up, a pitcher that everyone's now falling in love with in Baltimore, Dean Kramer. And I love Dino. I love DJ Cray because I know what he's capable of doing. But Dean had a really rough month of April, and people were ready to give up on Dean at that time. His ERA, if we want to be specific, was a 6.67. That's high. He then had a great month of May and great 2.45. Then to June, had a 5.91 ERA, and then since then 3.45, and now currently at a 2.37 for August. So my point being, Dean's ERA for the season, if you look at it, is 4.20. And so, but that doesn't tell the whole story. But everyone got to see Dean, and that was a part of the team. And so I just feel that Flaherty and Fujinami, no matter what, people are going to be upset because they expect dominance. And I don't think that part's fair. And I think it's just nitpicking whatever's going to happen. Flaherty has the ability to help the team. Is he going to be the ace? Probably not. Could he have become an ace? Sure. Same thing with Fujinami. You give time and be consistent. But I feel like both of those guys were going to be criticized from the start just because the Orioles front office didn't decide to go get a frontline guy. And if you want to look around the league, teams that got a frontline guy didn't turn out to be successful. Texas Rangers, Brad, how have they been doing recently?
Right. Yeah.
So that's my hear me out. They were going to be criticized no matter what, unless they were perfect. And the reality is no one is going to be perfect, especially in the game of baseball.
Yeah, I hear you. For me, it's one of those things, and we talked about this when the trade happened, is were the Orioles, or are the Orioles better off now than what they were pre-deadline? And the answer for me is yes.
Yep.
And I've said this time and again, and I'll say it one more time here, that it is ridiculously hard to hit 103-mile-an-hour fastball. And when Fuji is on, he is on, and he's unhittable, especially when you mix in the splitter. He is just absolutely filthy. And Flaherty has shown had some really good outings as well, but you weren't going to expect him to just be better all of a sudden because he got traded to the Orioles. Like, he is still, I wouldn't say he's above average pitcher. Maybe he turns it on. We'll just see. But what we're seeing from both of these pitchers is exactly what we've seen from most of the year, except for when Fuji was a starter, of course. But to point that out, Flaherty's had some really solid numbers. If you take out that Padres game, and they're doing their job, they're getting it done. And so, can you win a ball game when you give up 4 runs? Yeah, especially if you're the Orioles. So it's not pretty, but they're finding ways to win, and they're finding ways to win with Flaherty and with Fuji, and that's all right with me as an O's fan.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's a great point. It's the team's finding ways to win. You want to try to upgrade your team. And this Orioles team was just going to keep going no matter what.
Yeah.
And the thing with me with Flaherty with the video, and I tweeted that out the other day. You ever been in a competitive situation where you're just pissed? You're pissed because you felt like there was a couple moments here and there that could have ended. You could have gotten out of a certain situation, or you expect yourself to be better and you wanted the opportunity for one more chance to do it. And that's what I looked at with Flaherty coming off the mound, is that Hyde had to make a decision because he's trying to win the game. Flaherty, as the competitor, wanted to stay in. He's probably frustrated that there was a couple plays here and there that might have not, if that changed or calls changed, he's walking out of here feeling a lot better, and we're not having this conversation, right? And I don't blame people, by the way, looking more into it. And the other thing we didn't even touch on is that Flaherty had the injury situation, and then that magnified where everyone going like, well, man, what a waste. And the thing is, it's not a waste because people complained about the Orioles needing starting pitching, right?
Well, not only that, but think about what we gave up to get those players. Like, it wasn't like we lost some massive part of the team for those guys. It was more of like, let's see if this works. And to me, I think it's working. And we didn't have to bet the farm or give up the farm to get those 2 guys.
And yes, some of those players that they gave up, Drew Rom is a commanding around the zone. He's not a power pitcher, but he has the ability to develop into being a solid starter and hopefully have a long big league career. Showalter's a young pitcher for them that they traded that's got a lot of life, and who knows, he could turn out to be a terrific pitcher. You don't know.
It's always a guessing game.
Right. It's a guessing game, but the Orioles have so much talent, and we talked about this. Wouldn't you want to take a risk on a guy that's still 27 that was a Cy Young candidate only a few years ago,
Yeah, it's proven.
you would do it, right? So they did that. They made the decision. Having said that, though, the Flaherty injury then magnified people being more frustrated because then they're going, well, is he not going out there? Is something wrong? Well, we don't know that answer.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he doesn't wish he was dealing with it, first off. And secondly, the Orioles, back to the point I had, was that the Orioles pitching staff, you needed a starter. You got a starter. And then the fact that Grayson Rodriguez and Kyle Bradish have really jumped to being frontline guys and Dean Kramer the last couple of months.
Yeah.
You don't need Flaherty, and you shouldn't expect Flaherty to be at that level. It's a bonus now. And right now, because of where the Orioles are at, they have been tremendous. They truly have been tremendous, and they don't get enough credit for all of that. And, honestly,
the big question for me, the big question for me, though, and it still remains this, is that can the Orioles actually win a World Series without a dominant pitcher? Every time we've seen, for the last, decade or better, and I would argue probably historically with a World Series team, you at least have one dominant guy. And it still haven't really been able to pick that guy out. We've had this conversation a couple weeks ago about this, and that's still a question that I have not yet really answered. And, obviously we'll see what happens coming into the postseason, but it would be great to see the O's go deep into it. But I just don't know if you can do it without that dominant guy, at least in the series.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what we have seen is that Kyle Bradish and Grayson and Dean, when they're on, they pitch like aces, right? And Kyle Bradish is having a Cy Young sneaky season, and he probably, will not win the award just because of innings and then the strikeouts and all that stuff, right? It always gets added to it. But Kyle's been tremendous. Grayson, since he's come back up, has been tremendous. But to your point, having a guy that's been there and done that, that's why the Verlander was so valuable, because of his pedigree, especially what he's done. Scherzer, same thing, because it's what they've already shown you. That's no knock to what the Orioles have or won't do. And that's to your point there.
Yeah.
Having said that, the Orioles, I think their pitching staff deserves more credit, right? And I think we talked about this. I gave Brad this stat, and this might shock some people here. What do you guys think that the Orioles bullpen is in all of baseball? Because we hear all the time, man, this team needs
ranked. Where are they ranked?
Where are they ranked in ERA as a bullpen? I know you know the answer, but why don't you give it away?
Yeah, so they are ranked third.
That's correct.
In the league.
Third.
The bullpen is ranked.
Do you remember the other two teams in front?
Yeah, and this was a shocker for me too. The Yankees is number one.
Nuts.
That's would never have guessed that. That just shows how bad their starting pitching is.
Yeah, and it's been bad.
Yeah,
and how anemic their offense has been.
Right. Remind me who number 2 is.
Seattle Mariners, the other hot team in the American League, and so the point we're trying to give across, even though the numbers sometimes, or when you go out there and we look at it and go, man, the Orioles don't have enough. And yes, Felix Bautista's not there. That definitely helped with the ERA, by the way.
Yeah.
But Perez has come around. Jacob Webb has been a great addition. Cano has still had a phenomenal season. You're having players still step up and give you tremendous innings and work. And I think that can't be dismissed. And then on top of it, and just like what was said right here by Robert, with Kramer, G-Rod, and Bradish, they're pitching very well. So the fact that you have 3 guys now pitching like aces, and factor that in that you still have one of the best ERA bullpens in all of baseball, that's the beauty of it. And so we talked about the Mariners. That's why that's been the team of the hot team right now. We have a graphic of showing you just how hot the Mariners have been, but also just how hot another team's been that I think that people forget. And that's the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that right there.
First of all, let me just pull this back up here real quick.
Please do.
Like this run differential for the Dodgers, by the way, is absolutely ridiculous. Since the All-Star break, they're plus 90.
Yep.
And obviously the Dodgers have the best record in baseball right now. Mariners are tied with the Orioles at 32-16. What was surprising to me, the Astros, I think, are like 3rd in the American League, and they're all the way down 8th overall.
Yeah.
As far as records concerned.
National League's played well. They've really played well. You know, it's funny looking at that list right there. Dodgers came in. They're the best team right now since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And They came in and beat the Orioles in a series.
Yep.
Okay. That's the best team since the All-Star break. The Orioles beat the second best team, the Seattle Mariners, in Seattle. And then Houston comes to town. So 3 of the top 8 teams there, the Orioles have faced in the second half. And they've been in almost every series. The Dodgers took game 1, then, blew it out game 2. But the Orioles could have won the Astros series. But the point is, the Orioles have been playing really good baseball. That is our point here, is that regardless of where it is, that's why the Orioles are still sitting atop the American League East at 3.5 up on the Rays.
Crazy part for me, too, was looking at the Braves that are plus 92 run differential and 30-17. And that's only good for 5th best in the league. But they are hot as shit right now. The Braves are. I believe they're 8-2 in the last 10. So they are getting hot at the right time. No surprise. But I still have Braves coming in on top. I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if Dodgers and Braves go at it.
Yeah, I mean, those are the 2 teams that I think, when all is said and done, the National League, that's what it was going to be.
Yeah.
They're both tremendous teams, obviously. But, the point we wanted to just point out where the Orioles are at and with the ERA and what's going on, the question has been looming. Can the Orioles finish off the job and win the American League East? And the thing is, the question is an emphatic yes.
Yeah.
And how do they do that? They do exactly what they've been doing. And my motto, you hear me say it anywhere, that I will tweet it, I will say it. I bother Rocco DeSangro about it on Fox when we do also our Rip and Rock podcast. Brad now is getting annoyed with me saying it. You win series and you avoid getting swept. And nobody in baseball has done that better than the Baltimore Orioles. And if they continue to do that, they are going to be American League East champs. And not only that, baseball is going to run through Baltimore in the American League.
Yeah. Literally ever since Adley Rutschman has been called to the league, it's been a completely different team.
Nuts. And that was a culture change.
Yeah.
But that was also showing then you're seeing the pieces evolve and players figure themselves out. I mean, we're going to go down the farm here in a second, but Gunnar Henderson last night, Gunner's become a guy that you're dialed in to watch every night.
Well, not only that, we talked about this off camera too. It's, everybody gave Gunnar a bunch of shit at the beginning of season 2. Everybody thought that he was just going to be a bust. And how hilarious is that now?
Yeah. Well, and I say this, I don't like to make the Calvin Ripken Jr. comparison here, but I like to bring this point up because Gunner's a big athlete that can play shortstop, but people doubted if he could play shortstop. And then he got off to a rough start. Well, if you want to go back and look at CRJ during his rookie year, it was rough to start the first month. He was hitting into the hundreds and close to just 100 going into May. He ended up picking it up, win rookie of the year, and kind of the rest is history. But people doubted if he could play shortstop.
Yeah.
Gunnar Henderson, after his month of April and getting through May, has shown what he can do at the plate. And guess what? He's shown that he can make ridiculous plays over and over again, especially at the shortstop position. And it's truly mesmerizing. That one play in Arizona, I think you have it right here to.
No, I don't have that play. I have him hitting a home run, but my favorite series to watch of Gunnar Henderson so far this year is that Tampa Bay series in Tampa Bay. Highlight reel after highlight reel, that entire series was a defensive clinic. But let's take a look at offense here. Yesterday, he just smashes this ball. Let me rewind that real quick just to see the swing on this thing. I mean, just absolutely clocks it. I thought it was going to go further than that, but either way, this is just Gunnar being Gunnar.
Yeah, you know what that is? That's a piss missile that's in off the plate.
Yeah.
And he pulled his hands in. I think it was 96 on the gun, if I saw that correctly. And he just absolutely hits a rocket.
108. That's crazy.
But again, then that's what it is. You're seeing the confidence build in a young player.
Yeah.
And that you got to give the benefit of the doubt to these young guys. And I still say we're about to talk about going down the farm and talk about 2 tremendous players, Jackson Holiday and Kobe Mayo. But Gunnar Henderson, to me, is this guy that, as great as those other 2 players could be,
yeah,
Gunnar is just this special player that you can't see. And here's another special player for the Orioles.
Yeah, Westy.
Jordan Westberg. Honestly, that's just a definition of a good ball player, by the way.
Yeah.
And then that's what I try to tell people that have asked me, what do you think of Westberg? He can be great. He can be incredible. I go, what do you like about him? I go, I like that he's just a good ball player. He makes plays. He can go and make defensive plays like this in the video. he can make the routine plays, the hard plays look routine, and then he can come up with a big hit and he can hit the ball to all parts of the field. I mean,
there's so many players on this team that can do that, though. That's just crazy.
It's nuts.
You know? But yeah, so anyways, Robert actually asked us Gunner win rookie of the year. It's a lock, bro. I mean, it's not even close.
Lock.
Unanimous. Rookie of the year.
I don't think it's, and it's not even being a homer. And I really hope
it's just not particularly close.
I don't bet. I don't do any of the betting on baseball, just, in case I ever were to get back involved in any capacity. But if I were to bet on it and Gunner was down, whatever those odds were, I would have put the house down.
Yeah.
It's just because when you watch a guy's makeup and all he needed was that little bit of confidence,
right,
that 1 week. And then he went on that stretch of like 10 days where it was just homer and big hit after big hit. And then because he gained that confidence and goes, I can do this now. I tell people this, actually. I think everyone can relate to this. You can think you're very good at something, whatever it may be. But until you get to that next level that you want to get to, you have that little doubt just in the back of your head, just being, can I fully do it? So when Gunner got up here, he's going, I'm talented enough. I know I can. But in the back of my mind, I haven't done it yet. What if? Well, that got thrown out of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And since that happened, it unlocked the full Gunner Henderson. And when the full Gunner Henderson is the guy that's taking extra bases, making the ridiculous plays. Oh, and by the way, you can't just defeat him at the plate. And he's only 22 years old. That's the scary thing, is that you unlocked a kid at 22 that has his whole career ahead of him.
Yeah.
Whammy.
Yeah.
Take it to the book. Take it to Vegas.
For sure. For sure.
Also, I want to say this was interesting too. JJ Hardy vibes. I like that comparison because JJ, to me, best shortstop at his time when he was playing, but he never made anything. He wasn't the sexy player, but he made every play, didn't he?
Yep.
He was a beast.
Yeah. JJ was just a solid dude. All right. So getting down on the farm, got some Jackson Hardy gets promoted and now joining Kobe Mayo in AAA Norfolk. Not really much of a surprise there, but I wonder if it's more along the lines of like, okay, let's see what he can do in AAA so that we can call him up beginning of next year.
Yeah, I think you got a season. And if you look through what the Orioles have done so far with their guys, they're going, hey, we want you to go through each level, want you to get comfortable. And here's just another, moment of Jackson just mashing baseballs.
Hitting a triple.
Fun fact there. I think I had a similar triple like that. But I wasn't as fast or as talented as that guy right there. But it was fun in that ballpark. Got to bring up a memory. And it was actually against the same team. Wow, look at that. Anyway, it's not about you, Ryan. Damn it. Jackson is phenomenal, and Kobe Mayo.
That swing on Kobe Mayo, I can't watch it enough. Like, watch this swing, man. It's just he just absolutely smashed.
This is home run derby power, and this isn't a game.
Yeah,
that's derby. That's what you're supposed to do in a derby, not do on a baseball field during an actual professional baseball game.
Right.
Dude's got 26 jacks, I think, on the year now.
Yeah.
And so to tie it in, Kobe is going to have a little bit more of a blocked path just in the sense of how many guys that are being figured out and actually going back, thinking about writing off players. And there's a lot of you out there, and don't lie, wrote off Ryan Mountcastle. He doesn't fit. The dude rakes.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe's time is eventually going to come. You're going to wonder. Jackson, it feels like he's going to push himself sooner just because of where the infield is going to look like, especially in the middle infield where he's going to profile to play.
Right.
But I honestly, and this, don't hate me, people here, I want to see Jackson have a struggle this year. Does that sound crazy?
No, because I think it's just like any other player, right? That's just used to winning all the time and hasn't really faced any adversity. So it'll be interesting to see if Jackson actually ends up facing some sort of challenge here at the end of the season and how he overcomes that. And we've seen that from other players. We just got done talking about Gunnar Henderson and Mountcastle and some of the other guys. The only one that, I guess you can make the argument that perhaps Adley Rutschman faced a little bit here in the bigs, but for the most part, I felt like he kind of came into his own pretty gradually. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really all that, didn't really slump as much as some of the other ones we've talked about, but Colton Cowser comes to mind as well, who's now come back up. So it'll be nice to see him struggle a little bit and just to see how he overcomes that. Cause I don't have any doubts that he will overcome that. It's just, it'll be nice to see if he can do that, because as we all know, getting called up to the show means that you are going to face that. And so, I'm sure the Orioles organization wants to make sure that they have that question answered before they fully call him up.
Yeah. And I mean, also the biggest thing when you're young is the maturity factor, and he's very mature. He handles things extremely well. What I'm saying is, going through a slump where you're not going through it for a couple of days, maybe it's a week. Maybe you're really trying to find your footing. Like, I love seeing Kobe struggle, because it says, okay, how do you adjust? And Kobe then just started mashing home runs. Jackson then, because of the expectations and being the number 1 overall pick and number 1 prospect, to your point, that's what it's all of it's going to be put on him again. And when you're that young and you're trying to, again, this is just as a human being, when you're that young and you're figuring out yourself, you're going to go through changes. And now you're going to be asked to be doing something at such a young age that no one's really doing. So that's the only part of it. The adversity part, because hey, Jackson could turn out to be the best baseball player we have ever seen in our lives. But even if you are the best, you are going to have your struggles. It'd be good to make sure and see that you can go through those rough moments, because the big leagues, that's the final stop. And after a while, to stay there and to be successful, you're going to have to continue to adjust. And that's the name of the game. Can you adjust? And can you continue to play the way that people think you can play, which obviously a lot of people think that Jackson can. And I do too. I think Jackson's going to be a superstar, and there's nothing that stopped him so far from changing any of our opinions.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that.
The one thing Joe asked real quick about Mullins just getting extended, or is Bradfield his replacement? It's such a hard thing to really figure out.
Yeah,
because Bradfield's still, for me, time away. And Cedric's still a guy that's, when he's healthy, is one of the best outfielders in the game. I think that's just a question that'd be way down the road. Of course, you're going to be thinking about that. Because at the end of the day, even though I know a lot of comments are thrown out, you can't keep all of the players that you want. That is if there's one thing of all the stuff that's been thrown out there, the reality is you cannot keep your entire roster. You wish you could, but you can't.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have. You got too many good players.
It's a lot of good players. But again, think about this. This is why the Orioles are going to be set up for a while.
Right.
Is because, and I'm glad Elias didn't make the move, because you see the rental, even for a year, what if something changes? You still have these guys, and you're going to see who's going to turn out. Like I said, I hope Colton Cowser come next opportunity and he balls out and he's unbelievable. But if he isn't, you're going to have someone else step up, and you're going to wonder. It really is. It's kind of, it's like a raffle. It's a lottery.
Yeah.
And you're hoping to see which guy is going to be that golden ticket for you moving forward.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Good stuff there. Let's go ahead and move on to college football, because I know that you are certainly excited to talk about this, as am I. Prime Time does it again, ends up beating last year's runner-up in the National Football Championship. This is just unbelievable stuff. The TCU was favored by nearly 21 points over Colorado University, and it ended up being a game. And Colorado comes out on top, beats them 45-42, and it was just unbelievable. Some of the numbers that are coming out of this, as far as the stat lines are concerned.
Yeah, Colorado's going back to the Big 12, by the way, and that's just the Big 12 shootout, right? That's just offenses galore. And by the way, for the ones joining, the Colorado shirt is not being a homer. Sorry.
It is kind of being a homer.
Okay, I'm being a homer, but I'm not a bandwagon. First and foremost, my sister and now husband, they went there. They've been out there. She works for the university. So I've been repping and pulling for the Buffs for the last 15 years. And
that's how long she's been out there?
2008.
Wow.
Yep. And she's been working out there with the university since 2008. So it's been awesome to see. And actually, there's a lot of good clips that you have to really show how much doubt and a lot of people really thought about this Colorado team.
Yeah, I got one here. It was Urban Meyer, I think the Fox crew, talking about this. Hopefully the audio works. I just want to double check, but nothing like trying to double check it on air. But
I didn't know what to expect. You're taking over a historically bad team the last decade. You think about Colorado won it in the 90s. The job description was very clear. Every head coach that takes over, he meets with the AD. The AD gives them a sheet of paper, like I did at Ohio State, Gene Smith, their AD, and on it's your expectations. Number one at Ohio State is very clear. You win every game you play. Number two, you never lose to the rival. Then a bunch of other stuff underneath that. I'm curious, athletic director Rick George at Colorado, when he met with Deion Sanders and said, here's your job description, here's our expectation level, I really don't know what it is. How do you define success? A normal situation would be, hey, Prime, go win half your games your first year,
right,
and second season, go compete for a championship. That's normal. Brady, there's nothing, Matt, nothing out here that's normal.
We've never seen this, and the way teams are built now and the way programs are built, it's just different than when we played. You can either take a Lincoln Riley approach, a Mel Tucker approach, where you keep a core nucleus of your players, but you go to the portal and you get 15 to 20 guys. Those guys had instant success. Prime is not doing that. He has the whole team. This is a complete overhaul. We have no idea what to expect on this field, but there's a belief in him, and he is so polarizing, Mark, which means you just want to buy in. They got talent, and I'm excited to see him today.
Yeah, like you said, he's going to recruit the best talent in the country. What ball player does not want to go play for Coach Prime? And then he's going to be able to get the right character, the right mindset, instill that in them. And then when you know your coach loves you, he cares about you, he's going to put you in the best position to have success. You run through a wall for him. That's how I felt about Coach Saban when I was playing for him. I'm sure a lot of your players feel like that about you, Coach, when they're playing for you. And that's how these Buffaloes are going to feel about Coach Prime.
Deion Sanders took over Colorado at the right time. If he did this 4 years ago, he couldn't turn over the roster like he has done at Colorado. He probably wouldn't have the same buzz, and I don't know that the University of Colorado would be at the same spot that it's in right now. And only Deion could sell this program the way he has, to recruit the guys he has, to recruit the coaching staff that he has, which is a tremendous staff, and one of the reasons why I think this is going to work. Now, it might not have happened as fast as they'd like it to, but he's got a couple things in his favor. A quarterback, Shadir Sanders, who can sling it around, and a playmaker in Travis Hunter.
The question I have for you guys real quick, what's the definition of success?
Tell me, Coach.
Hey,
500.
500.
That's what you're saying?
Bowl eligible?
They expect to win every game, he said.
500 is lofty goals. All right, time now for.
So the one thing that I caught my attention there was right at the end. 500 was lofty goals. And here Colorado is winning the same amount of games this year as they won last year, which is one.
Oh, I remember.
Which is one. So, there's some really good points that were made there. Prime coming in and then players wanting to play for him. He could really change. He already has. But really change that whole entire culture there. One thing that I wanted to share as well, which I thought was absolutely insane, just from a culture change perspective and just how many people are actually buying in on this, was this little stat by Joe Pompliano. Said you could have attended every Colorado home game last year for $222, which is an insane number, by the way. It's still expensive. But the get-in price for Saturday's game against Nebraska is $476. That's next week's game if you want to watch it. Colorado also gained 147,000 new social media followers this weekend, and they've sold out every single game this year already.
It's nuts.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts. And that was something that I think what bothered people with Coach Prime to start this year was the fact of how much attention that the team was getting, and thinking it was more of a circus show than necessarily that he was going to go. You're either on one side or the other.
Yeah.
You either thought it was a circus show and you just thought it was more arrogant and about, people thinking about Prime and that no way he can have that type of success. And the other people that bought into it were excited, wanted to see a change. And yes, the transfer portal and how things change and how you feel about that's giving up on the current athletes that were there, or how the turnover, that's a whole different discussion you can dive into more, because that is a sensitive to people about, well, the roster's completely changed. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, including Vegas, didn't believe in Colorado. I think the over-under for the season was 4 wins.
Yeah.
And now you go to TCU, and now someone would say, well, TCU's down a little bit. People thought Shadir Sanders wasn't going to be that good of a quarterback.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and take a look at Shadir's numbers here last week, which was only 510 passing yards, 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, and I hate that it does this. And 38 for 47 against TCU. Again, last year's runner-up for the National Football Championship. So, that is just National College Football Championship. So, they just those aren't slouch numbers. And, again, TCU is favored by 21 points. You look at this team and think about the numbers that were just put up against a team like TCU, and you got to be wondering as other coaches around the Pac-12, they've got to be worried about this.
Oh,
they've got to be.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is the thing that I love about all of this. First off, what Sanders did, this quarterback play, again, that everyone's doubting Colorado. Your dad's the coach. He's starting you, and all of a sudden, you go out there, and he just played a Power 5 school in his first game in Colorado, broke Colorado records, and he had to almost be flawless in this game, and he was. And there was opportunities, and Travis Hunter, we can talk, he was incredible that game, but they had some missed opportunities at plays, and Sanders came up over and over again, and is the main reason why this team pulled off the upset. And now Colorado's sitting there going, well, man, this team can actually, not saying they're going to run the Pac-12 by any means at all, but this team deserves a lot more credit and a lot more respect than people gave them.
Well, speaking of deserving, you made mention of like people that thought that he was too arrogant coming in, that it was going to be a dog and pony show, whatever. Like, has Prime not earned the right to be as arrogant as he wants to be?
Yeah.
All the guy does is win.
Yeah.
Like, literally in everything that he's done.
Everything.
He just wins. So if he's going to go out and say he's going to do something, why do people just not believe him at this point? Especially the way that he turned around, Jackson State. So to think that he wasn't going to be able to do it again somewhere else, I don't know. I think it was just naive of anyone to think that.
You know what I love too also about, well, first off, you played in the MLB, you played in the NFL. You're one of the best players to
he hit a big league home run.
Yeah, and one of the best players to touch in NFL or just football field in general.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think one thing that people look at, if they think it's arrogance, but what I love is the confidence that he instills in himself, but instills in other people, his team specifically. Yeah. Because, and what's wrong with that? Even if you think it's arrogant, I'd much rather have someone go, I don't care what other people think of me, which is Prime's motto.
Right.
What my opinion of myself is the one that matters. And I think nowadays people don't do that as often. And I think that that's so valuable when you're trying to tell your other kids. Did you see that pregame speech he had?
Yes.
Electric.
Ray Lewis-esque.
It was Ray Lewis-esque. I was ready to run through a cement wall.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And break everything in my body. But the point is, he knows what it takes, and he has that confidence to have success, and he wants to try to have the best thing for his players. And so that's the beauty of it. I'm excited, and you look at their schedule too. That's one thing. They play Nebraska, which, by the way, you want to put in the context for how much this tickets are going for.
Yeah.
It's still a noon kickoff. The game's in Colorado.
Yeah.
That means the game's at 10 a.m. People are going to start tailgating at like 5 or 6 in the morning. That place is going to be a madhouse that early. And then they should win that game against Nebraska, you hope. Then they play Colorado State. Then you're looking at, they could be 3-0 going to play Oregon.
That's going to be the big game for me to watch, is the Oregon game. Not that these aren't going to matter.
I'm going to watch every single Prime game.
But like, that's going to be the big game to watch, right? Like,
yeah.
Speaking of, and we just talked about Prime being as athletic as he is and winning everything, playing and Prime, Deion Sanders played on both sides of the ball. All three phases, if you really want to get down to it. And he's got a player on his team, Travis Hunter, who is now doing that as well.
Oh my goodness.
The guy is playing phenomenal football. And I'm super excited to watch him as well. I mean, there's a lot to like, but Travis Hunter is definitely one that I want to continue to keep an eye on. I got some questions on the other side of this clip, but take a listen here on what Prime had to say about Travis Hunter on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. Maybe. There we go. Maybe not. Seriously. That's the one that's not going to play.
Try the volume all the way up on it again.
A guy that can play,
Yeah.
144. This dude's fucking unbelievable, Prime. Hey
man.
He's unbelievable at football, Travis Hunter.
This kid, first of all, you got to understand the commonalities that we share. Travis is a kid that really grew up in Florida that moved to Georgia. So he understood, my journey. Travis loves fishing. I love fishing. Travis is pretty much a homebody. I'm pretty much a homebody. Travis is really recluse to a point, like I am as well, when I don't know people and kind of stand offish. But when I'm in the crowd, I turn into him, that dude. Travis is all these things times two, man. Like, this kid here loves the game. Last week I told Travis, look, you're not going to practice until Friday because, you got a little hamstring or whatever. So just chill. I look out there on the field. He's going both ways on Thursday. I said, Travis, did I tell you not to work today? That's who he is. So this week I said, you off until Wednesday. We practiced on Sundays if you didn't play 60% of the snaps, just to get my guys, ready, just to give the young guys some reps as well. Then Monday we're off. Tuesday, scout report day. Wednesday we practice. So I don't want to see him on the field till Wednesday. I don't want to see him because I know what he's going to do, and I got to really keep him strong because I went through this. I did this before. So I identify with who he is and how he is and what he is and what he needs to do to continuously be who he is. But this man right here is a dog. You saw on the shirts, we don't have captains, man. I don't believe in that foolishness.
Love it.
I believe in leaders and dogs. Every dog ain't a leader, and every leader ain't a dog. We got some dogs. That kid right there is a darn Rottweiler, man. He don't play. He texts me at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Let's go, baby. Let's go do this. That's the text I got from Travis at 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's go do this, baby.
So that's the kind of player that Dion thinks of Travis Hunter. And you guys didn't get a chance to see him play, play corner, wide receiver, and just went off on both sides of the ball. Played 120 or how many? 127 snaps.
Right? Over 120 snaps, I believe. Had over 100 receiving yards and an interception.
Yeah, which is stupid. Now the question that I have is what I precluded to was that, is this sustainable? Can a guy like Travis Hunter do this all season? And then the second question for me is, is this going to be something that we see from other coaches? Because you know this, even just from, on the baseball side of things, if a kid's athletic, coach is going to put him everywhere.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter wherever he's needed, he's going to put the most athletic kid there. Usually ends up being pitcher, or at least, growing up, but nevertheless, most athletic kids going to go wherever the coach needs them to go. And you got to wonder if there's something to that. My initial thoughts on that would be that most players or most coaches are still not going to do that, just because you increase those snap counts, you increase the chance of injury, you increase the risk to that kid's football career, whether it stays in the college, whether it stays in college or goes on to the pros. So you're risking that there. So I think there's a lot of factors that go against putting a player out there on both sides of the ball. But when you got a guy like Travis Hunter, who I think is more or less a unicorn, it's almost kind of like, well, you have to do it.
Well, first off, can I get Travis Hunter's conditioning test?
Right.
Like, I thought about that. I mean, and not just that he's going out there, he's asked to do probably arguably two of the most explosive positions with cornerback and wide receiver, and the amount of ground you have to cover and all that stuff. So, to your question though, about is that sustainable? Well, in the college ranks, you're going to have a little bit more chance and variety, but you might have to limit type of snaps, because what Travis Hunter is doing, that is ridiculous. And that is going to be taxing. And it really, to do that, it's going to take someone special for them to not break down over time. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a huge trend. I think it just takes a special player. Honestly, I think that's what it is, because we've seen how many tremendous athletes there are that go. And I can even remember, you can go look back to high school, and anyone's seen or had friends or played with, and they played multiple positions. Same thing in baseball. Like, so that's why what Ohtani's doing, like, that's the first time we've seen this in our lifetimes and generations and generations, because to be that good at the top of your game in two different aspects of a sport is absurd.
Yeah.
So for Travis Hunter, it's absurd because he's able, the reality, let's just make this short and sweet or simple. Travis Hunter is a playmaker. And when you're a playmaker and good things happen when you're around the ball, or you can make a play with the ball in your hands, you want that opportunity for him. Now it'll just be, can that translate and can he get past this? Because if he can do this for the whole season, this dude might be the Heisman. That might be the one of the Heisman front runners. And who would have thought that Colorado could actually have two players that, if they continue to play well, Sanders and Hunter, could be Heisman candidates.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. But we'll wait to see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens this weekend against Nebraska, and we'll get into some more college football stuff. Let us know in the comments if you guys like us talking more college football. We'll bring it to the show more often if it's something that you want to see more of. Also, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up. We see quite a few people rolling in here on an unscheduled.
Hey, impromptu, you guys show. Maybe we'll just do this on Tuesdays at 4:15.
Yeah,
I mean, hell, shit. But look, we really appreciate it. It's just a different chance for us to get out more opportunity to talk and content, and we're definitely going to, we're going to have some videos out here like we always do. But if you guys want to have questions answered live on this stream, hop on in the chat.
Yeah.
This is the chance to talk with us. We're pretty friendly about 98% of the time. When I'm dealing with coming up the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, that I'm pretty pissed, but that's a way different topic. One thing I will say for college football, last one, because the other, it was kind of pedestrian real quick for the week. As far as things kind of went what we thought. How about last night, Duke? First off, Clemson actually, yardage wise, and if you look at the stats, you'd go, wow, Clemson kind of outplayed Duke, or not kind of, they should have won the game. And Clemson was 1 for 4 in the red zone, had kicks blocked, fumbled, and then Duke made the right plays and won the game. That's just how it is. But that was probably the biggest shock of the night, and people are probably going to wonder, is Clemson's run done as a team in the ACC? What say you? Overreaction?
I would say it's not overreaction for this year.
Okay.
So Stephen A. Smith put this out yesterday, or this morning, I should say. So I want to credit him. But since the college football playoffs replaced the BCS in 2014, no team has made the semifinals after losing a home opener. I don't see Clemson doing that this year. So it would be a shock to me to even see them get to the playoffs after losing their home opener. However, I will say this: Dabo Swinney is Dabo Swinney. He's not going to lose like that probably again this year. But as far as his hopes and dreams go for making the playoffs, I'd be surprised. They'd have to do something special to be able to even get to the semi. So, or even get to the dance. So to me, I think that Clemson's reign is not over, but I think this year it's going to be a little bit dimmer than years past. Also, 200 yards passing, 200 yards rushing usually doesn't lose you a game. I think a lot of that was just kind of like crazy. Just a wild, like bizarre game. So I would say that coming out next week, they'll probably be fine. But I don't know. I don't think that we're going to see much out of Clemson, at least going into the playoffs, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine more in the ACC, but to be a national title contender, it's going to be a challenge. I think that's just the way it's kind of been working. But again, you brought up the 200 yards passing and rushing. I think Dabo last night said is the first time in his career that they had lost when they threw for more than 200 yards and ran for 200 yards. And I think it was the first time that he goes, I think it's the first time we ever lost in school history when running and throwing for over 200 yards, which is nuts.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But and they controlled the time of possession, but the reality is it's the little things. Can you put the ball away? Can you take care of the ball? And in the red zone, can you capitalize? They did not do that. They fall. That's why we're talking about it. But hey, good for Duke. I love seeing more parity in sports. I love seeing what they're doing. So
I like that nobody's talking about Alabama in week 1.
Yep, not yet. That's just wait though. It's right around the corner, but it's fun. Well, the other thing too, and I saw Joe made a comment about SEC baby. Well, LSU, do you claim LSU for the SEC right now? Because that was an absolute beat down by Florida State.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, maybe Florida State deserves a little bit more credit. They're up to 4th in the polls. It would be good to see Florida State come back to being that top team. I think college football is better when the Seminoles are up at the top.
Agreed. All right, you ready to talk about football? Or
we are talking about
NFL football?
Yes, I would love to do that.
Let's do it. So the Chiefs and Lions play on Thursday, which we're super pumped for, which got us thinking, is there a possibility, or is there a way in which the Chiefs actually win another Super Bowl championship this year. Is Vegas favored them?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to run through the odds right here. We like to go to Vegas here. That's, let's head to Vegas because we want to check out the odds and for what people are going to be betting on for the Lions and Chiefs game, but also to win the Super Bowl for 2024. And actually, one of the news which would definitely hurt the Chiefs right now is that the news broke that Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee.
Yes.
And so that could be a possibility of no bueno. But yes, the Chiefs are still favored at plus 600, around that range to be Super Bowl champs. But we're wondering this. We talked about this. Repeating is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. It's not. And so if you look at this graphic right here, I mean, you've seen this. How many teams are on that list?
7.
And the last one was in 2003, 2004. That was the New England Patriots. So what was your question? Could they repeat?
Could they repeat?
I think the answer is yes, but it's very hard to do it. And we haven't seen it in 2 decades.
Yeah. For me, and this is my hear me out. The Chiefs are not going to repeat this year. The reason being is because the Baltimore Ravens are the most put together complete team that I have seen since Lamar Jackson came into the league.
Woo, I love hearing that.
So and we go back to the 2019 season, Lamar Jackson's MVP season. Who you probably see it now on the screen because I have it pulled up. Who are the wide receivers during that? The number one wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens during Lamar Jackson's MVP run.
Why am I blanking on this? No, I actually know it. I'm sorry. It was the group that they had.
Yeah.
Was Willie Snead.
Yes.
Miles Boykin.
Right.
I believe Seth Roberts came over.
Yes. Seth Roberts. Correct.
So those were.
And Mark Andrews.
Yeah, but you said receivers, right?
Right. But I mean, he caught a lot of balls too.
So that was it. And then obviously you had Marky Mark doing his thing, Mark Ingram. But yeah, I see your point.
Yeah. Now you have Rashad Bateman. You have OBJ. You got Zay Flowers, who is looking like he's going to be an absolute dog this year. Obviously, we have to wait to see what he looks like in a real game situation. But the receiving core looks pretty damn good. Then you got J.K. Dobbins in the backfield, and Gus Edwards could be a starting running back anywhere else in this league who's backing him up. So I just think that the Ravens, the dominant offense is here. And I just, obviously there's going to be so much going on within the AFC right now with as far as competition is concerned. But man, stack this team up against anybody else, and I think that they are the ones that are going to come out on top.
You know what? I love that. Hear me out. That's big time, and I'm proud of you. I think you're exactly right. This is the best supporting cast that we have ever seen from Lamar, and to be honest, and that's no knock to it, just showing you how special that 2019 season really was.
Yeah.
Just that team in general. And that was a complete team.
13-3 that year, right?
No, they were 14-2.
14-2, yeah.
Because the Ravens were 2-2, the loss to the Cleveland Browns in Baltimore, and then went on a 12-game winning streak into the postseason. But to see the weapons that they have, yes, they could get off to a rockier start just because you're trying to get used to how all the pieces work, new offense. It's the same thing we talked about last week with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. You're just trying to get used to how things are. But, man, this is a very talented team. And Odell Beckham Jr., if you talked about how he has really embraced his new role, he's proven that type of leadership. And then also he's sung praises about the rookie wide receiver, Zay Flowers, and just the Ravens culture in general.
Yeah, he went on to talk about how John Harbaugh is running a world-class organization on the Rich Eisen show. Take a listen.
Feel it on a feeling, and I texted Harbs the other day. I was like, "You run a world-class operation around here." It's been very refreshing. You know, it's been a breath of fresh air for me. It's definitely not just going to be all run game. I'll tell you that much. I won't give away any game plans, but I'm truly excited, man. I hadn't had this feeling since early in my career with the Giants, and then. Cleveland wasn't the best situation, which life is like that. You know, not every situation is the best for everybody. But when I went to the LA Rams and the way that McVay and Snead and the Conkies and the way that they ran everything, especially McVay, like he made me fall in love with football game. He made me fall in love with the game. He made me want to show up every day to be a pro and to know that, you know, you're going to be prepared. And it's kind of that similar feeling over here, the way that things are ran.
So there's the thoughts of Odell Beckham Jr. and that he feels as if the Ravens are a championship caliber team, and OBJ would know a thing or two about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was great as he got to go over to Los Angeles with the Rams. How about that one when the Rams used to be in St. Louis?
I still say San Diego Chargers all the time.
Yeah. But so Odell was a big part of that, and to win a Super Bowl there, and then he comes to Baltimore. It always makes you feel good. One, he appreciates the culture, and the Ravens, just like people don't like the Steelers, but you got to respect the Steelers. Ravens and Steelers have been two of the most consistent organizations over the years, especially under the tenures of John Harbaugh and for Mike Tomlin with the Steelers. So to hear Odell Beckham talk about that, sing his praises about just what the team is doing well. I mean, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the Ravens, and if you look at the odds in the AFC, Chiefs are favored, then Buffalo, Cincy, Jets. A lot of the Ravens odds are 900 and above. And I think that next question was, if there was going to be a team I'd be willing to put money on that'd be worth the value, and I'm not trying to be a homer, why not the Baltimore Ravens, especially at that, with the best offense that the Ravens possibly could have, maybe even in the history of their organization?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some pretty decent receivers. Obviously, Anquan Bolden comes to mind, but he's probably the best wide receiver outside of maybe Steve Smith Sr. that we've had. And those two guys were on the opposite end, or on the tail end of their careers. I think that we could really see something special. Rashad Bateman still has a lot to prove, especially injury-wise.
For sure.
But Zay Flowers could be that guy that the Ravens actually drafted and ended up being an absolute stud.
Well, I mean, did you see what Odell Beckham said about Zay Flowers recently?
I did, but refresh my memory.
Well, I'd be glad to do it. Odell Beckham just came out and was saying he believes Zay Flower, not a top 5 rookie wide receiver. He said he can be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, and it's going to be sooner than later.
Yeah.
It's essentially paraphrasing. And when you hear that from a guy when he came out and how polarizing and exciting and electric he was, and OBJ was one of those top 5 guys,
right,
you sit there and go, man, what can be? And I think this is the beauty of it, is that Zay Flowers, we've seen the momentum, and he's a smaller receiver, obviously, but he has the quick movements, the abilities to change direction, get open, something that the Ravens obviously would love, any team would love. And then seeing Rashad Bateman, like, yeah, no one's writing him off, but the hype around Zay Flowers has been off the charts. And it's not just people that follow the Ravens. It's everyone that's gone over there and seen, man, this guy's different.
Yeah.
And this is something that Ravens fans should be excited about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that being said, wanted to just do a quick thing on with the Lions Chiefs, because we're not going to have a chance to touch on that game later in the week, because it's on Thursday.
Yeah.
So we went into saying that the Ravens odds for the year was at 900. And for those that are joining, if you heard that the Chiefs, it's hard to repeat, hard to get back to the Super Bowl with that being. So it looks like if history is going to show us, to get back and win a Super Bowl is very challenging. The Chiefs are going to defend their Super Bowl run this Thursday without Chris Jones, unless something miraculous, but no way he's ready in 2 games. Travis Kelce then hyperextends his knee, and he's questionable for the opener. And then you have this Detroit Lion team that who knows exactly where they are, and they're the quote-unquote kind of up-and-coming favorites, I guess, right now.
They're favored to win the division.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the game. It should be a lot of fun. Where do you kind of stand, or what's something you're looking to watch for Thursday night?
I think I always just like to see the underdog win. And for me, the Lions team, they're just a fun team to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Even last year, they weren't the perfect team out there. They had a lot of ugly games, but they had some really good bright spots as well. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing the continuation of that. I also am kind of bummed that Travis Kelce isn't going to be out there.
Well, they haven't ruled it out yet. They said it's in doubt that he could.
I would say it's highly unlikely at this point.
Would you risk it right now?
Not in the beginning of the season. I wouldn't. I mean, would you?
I wouldn't, but you never know. With the Chiefs, always with some guys, Is it trying to play the guessing game? But yeah, if it's any doubt that he can re-injure himself in this first game, it's not worth it.
Especially in a league where you see nothing but ACL tears all over the place.
And he can get a 10-day rest if he sits out that game.
Correct.
But also, I got a fantasy draft for my home league tonight, sitting at the 10th pick. I wonder then, if you're me, do you take Kelsey knowing with his knee situation?
Yeah, I would still take him.
Still take him even if he misses week 1?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, I get to keep 2 running backs, so I got Damian Pierce and Kenneth Walker sitting, but Travis Kelsey, always when you talk about knees, you worry. Tremendous player. But to your point, the Detroit Lions, I think it's going to be a very competitive game. I think a lot of people want to see what this Lions team is going to be, especially with the expectations that we talked about last week. Jared Goff's home and away splits. His home splits were ridiculous. Away splits were, kind of pedestrian.
Yeah.
How is that going to be going into Arrowhead for the first game? And what's that going to look like? Should be great. Trying to pull up if they have the new odds right now with Travis Kelsey being injured right now, what that would entail. And right now, I don't know if it has the live odds up at the moment. I think it does. Give me one moment. Also, I love Amon-Ra St. Brown, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I was just about to say that. I think it's going to be a pretty decent offensive matchup. I think it'll be a pretty high-scoring game, especially with Chris Jones not being there. That guy has just been an absolute difference maker, and it was interesting to me. Travis and Jason Kelsey were on their podcast talking about that, and it was funny because you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Andy Reid coming out. Hey, we love Chris Jones. He's going to do his thing. Like, he'll be back when he's back.
Yeah.
Like all the politically correct answers, and then Travis Kelsey goes on a show and it's just like, come back. Like he's just crying about it. Like, just like, he's like, I understand you want to get paid. I got no problem with players getting paid. We've had this conversation on many occasions about contracts. But it's just like, it's just funny. And it's refreshing to see that a player's out there being like, I want you back. Please come back right now. So, you understand the politically correct answers that have to be given, especially with high profile players. But whenever you see the truth actually coming out, the emotion actually coming out, it's kind of like, okay, finally, like somebody's in my camp being like, I want him back. So you got to want him back too. But it was kind of funny to see that.
I mean, you saw the business side of it, but man, when someone means so much to a team, and we talked about defensive players having impacts or how certain guys can elevate a team. And because the Chiefs don't have, in their eyes, if you can name, unless you're a Chiefs fan, you probably cannot name a lot of the starters on that Chiefs defense.
Can you name 2 wide receivers on that team?
Oh, I can name the wide receivers, especially with the fantasy.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there's probably not a lot of people, unless you are a Chiefs fan, in fantasy football.
Right. That you're not following because it's not the big name guys.
Right.
So, but for the defense, Chris Jones, he makes that defense different. He makes them, they go from being a defense that can make a couple plays here and there because of how dominant Chris Jones is, to him off the field where no one's striking fear from that side of the ball.
Right.
And that's something on offense. You have Patrick Mahomes, that's going to strike fear in you left and right, just because you have Andy Reid calling plays and Mahomes is just pulling something out of his ass, and then whammy, there you go. So Chris Jones is going to be interesting, and pulling up the lines. The lines dropped to 5.5 now. It was at 6.5. So clearly still in favor of the Chiefs, but time will tell what's going to happen. Personally, I think we're in line to see a really great game because the Chiefs not always are going to be a team that's going to get off to this hot start necessarily.
Yeah.
They haven't played their best ball always at the beginning of the season. I think that they could definitely win, but I think the Lions are excited to prove that they are a team of 2024.
5.5 is a big number. I think I'd take the under on that.
So you take the spread and under?
Yeah.
For the Lions.
Yep.
Okay. And the line, by the way, is at 53.5 over and under. So
there you go.
So you're telling me we're going to be going to Vegas and put some things down here.
I'm telling you, I'd be happy to lose your money.
Okay. Well, thanks. Appreciate that. Well, hey, so we'll talk next week about more with our division picks and predictions. We'll give it a week to marinate. Do you have the stuff about the recent video with Schrager, or you want to save that for next week?
Let's save that. Yeah,
we'll save that for next week. Because they'll all be latching together. Let's go to love to see it, hate to see it.
Let's do it. So my love to see it. My favorite thing to watch for the last 2 years is the Manning brothers.
Oh, they're
doing
great.
Monday Night Football, and they now had a I don't know what you want to call it. It's not a sizzle reel, but it was like a, hey, guess what? We're back.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Oh, it was so good.
I think I was trying to do this midstream, so let me just see if this actually comes up. Well, yeah, hold on a second. Let me take that one out.
And this break is brought to you by sponsor potentially.
I'm Jared Goff, quarterback, here to audition.
So, Jared, how excited are you about the opportunity to be on the most popular show on television?
Isn't this for the Manningcast?
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, I play quarterback.
Ooh, quarterback. We like that.
You like that?
I just said that we liked it.
You like that?
I mean, what is this guy's deal?
No, but did you like it?
How do you feel about audibles?
We generally just want the quarterback to run the play that's called. That's the play.
Sean McVay, Los Angeles Rams head coach.
On this team, we tear ourselves to pieces.
This is how you guys dress in real life.
You guys are terrible evaluators and go f yourself.
Thank you, Mike. Who are your broadcasting icons?
Another one.
What would you say are your strengths?
We the best.
I'm just here because your guys have the most punchable face in the history of punching faces.
Wow, Reese Witherspoon. I mean, we're honored you'd even consider auditioning for the Manningcast.
Manning what? Oh, no, I was calling to bundle my home and auto. Aren't you the insurance guy?
So what would we know you from?
Have you heard of TikTok?
Sure.
Really?
No.
Hi, Lil Wayne, Wheezy Baby, President Carter.
I'm Peyton, and this is Lil Brother. Let's get some sleeves on you, big boy.
I don't think the job's for me. I have no idea what this is, but I don't think I'm the right guy.
Well, we tried our best.
Guess it's just the two of us again this season.
Unless there's someone on that list who is just perfect for the job.
Nope. Not on this list.
You've been waiting here a long time, too? No, I didn't get the Manningcast job. I guess I'll just come back and play football again.
So anyways, that's what I love to see. I love to see the Manning brothers are coming back this year. There's no other way that I love to watch Monday Night Football anymore than when those two guys are running the show.
They're so great. And you're seeing more of their personalities off the field, which is because they were two fantastic players, obviously.
Yeah.
And to see their sense of humor, that's just pure gold.
But that was hilarious.
That video is like that made first time I saw that, I actually saw that earlier today, made my day.
Yeah.
And then to watch it again, I could keep watching that over and over and over.
So many big names, so much I don't know, like so many
so
jokes.
Creative.
Yeah. It was just hilarious. It reminded me of the NFL scripted ads that they put out a couple weeks ago. So
yeah,
it was funny. It was good.
And you need that. Like that's the ambassadors for the game. They're great ambassadors for the game, and damn, they're fun and they know their shit. So go. I'm right there with you. I can't wait to watch it.
That to me is the future of football. By the way, there's always going to be a place for the analysts, color commentating, and that sort of thing. But like that is so much fun to watch, especially like having former players on or even celebrities, what have you. Like I remember one game last year they had Joe Buck on. And they were just talking to Joe Buck, and he was like on vacation in Mexico or something. And he was just like joking around. Like that is just the next level. And I think that's what ESPN has been doing. That's why they hired Pat McAfee. That's why they brought some of these guys in. I think that like actually live streaming, I can't wait till I see a creator, YouTube creator or otherwise actually be able to talk about the game, have celebrities on like the Manning brothers do, and have it be interactive with the audience. Right, like actually being like we react with you guys, and bringing comments on and like reacting to those comments. Like I would love to be able to see that one day. Who knows if it'll happen, but I think it really will.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm excited about where things could go with us personally, but I'm right there with you. I think we're seeing a different evolution of what streaming, watching capabilities, and think about just where we've been the last 10 years. Even if you go, this was a different thing, but Netflix was essentially like a Blockbuster, and now it has shows and streaming and all this stuff. And now everything has these platforms where you go and watch whatever you want. And I think that's where you find a good product. People want to tune into it. And obviously the Manning cast is one of a kind.
Speaking of Netflix, I've never seen Ballers before. Just started watching on Netflix. I love that show.
Ballers?
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We're
so
going to have
good.
to talk about this
It's
at a
so
different
good.
time. That is like,
yeah.
We're going to have to talk about some favorite shows, especially sports shows, because so many good out there.
Yeah.
So many good ones out there. All right. My quick love to see it. Is that better?
Yeah, we need to see your beautiful face.
Yeah, hey, smile. What I love to see, there's a video on NFL.com, or it was on the NFL X page, was T. Higgins had a signing. And I guess they shut it down. And all of a sudden, T. Higgins is walking out and he sees that there's still a line of people there. And it's not a ridiculous all the way down. He goes, oh, there's still these people left. And he goes, okay, no, come on in. And he went back in and sat down and finished so everyone could see him. And T. Higgins, for those who don't know, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. I just thought that was such a cool moment because, yeah, he'd been sitting there doing it for a while and people were going to see him. But it's something that those are moments right there that make you want to root for a guy. And it's an awesome moment because that's also what some of those young fans are looking at going, man, that was so cool. And that's something that you don't always get to see. And I think we have the video here coming up. So there it is right there. A guy saying, he said no more pictures. He looked out there and goes, I'm going to come back in. And I thought that's just amazing. I love to see that. That's an athlete. He doesn't have to do that, but he appreciates the people that support him and want to come out there to spend time, take time out of their day to see him.
Just like on a personal note, what about so I'm sure that you have either experienced it because of your family history or even yourself of just like, there's just so many people at some point you have to say no, right? Like, have you ever experienced, whether it be with your pops or otherwise, that you're just like, whatever, I'll just stay until everybody gets something that they want? Or is there most of the time you do have to cut them off at some point, right? Like there's just the crowd's too big or what have you.
Yeah. I mean,
obviously in this situation, there wasn't that many people, but.
Right. And the event was coming to an end, for sure. It's mainly when I think about it this way, when I played and when I talked about when my dad played, if people took the time and they were out there supporting and wanted to be there to support you, and you were creating these moments, the least we could do if the time came would be able to sign, spend time, get to know people. And I've talked to you about this. Relationships for me matter.
Yep. That's where we align on the most. That's why we work. That's why we start working.
That's where we started working. Relationships matter, building something. And that was what I got to see and learn. And then now that I'm done playing and talking to certain people, said, I really appreciated when you did this, or tell me a story about what happened, because that means I go, you know what, that goes beyond the game. So those are awesome moments, but I will say this, there obviously sometimes there's going to be limits.
Sure.
You're going to have to cut it off. And if I'm out to eat or I'm at a certain event, you're not going to get to everybody. I've also, maybe it's a fun story. I'm in Aberdeen. I'll say this story. It was opening day for us in Aberdeen, opening night. And we had a game and I signed before the game. And then they said, Ryan, we got to do introductions for the game. So I said, sorry guys, I got to get going. I promise after the game, I will come back and sign for you. And so some of the kids were like, oh man. And then this woman might've been one of the moms. Was like, yeah, you're just an asshole, just like your father. Sure, he'll be back.
Oh, Jesus.
So I sit there and I'm like, damn. But I came back, made sure I was a man of my word. I was going to come back and do that. But I was like, man, there's no winning with that one. And clearly she didn't like my dad a lot, either.
Clearly your dad's an asshole.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe sometimes he is. But so the point is you're not going to please everyone, but knowing that you have your best intentions and you want to try to be there. But there's times and places. Yeah. I do try to tell people, I'm like, hey, can't do this now. Send me a message, or I'd love to do this a different time. Circumstantial.
Sure.
So that's how it works.
Yep.
That's how the cookie crumbles. All I don't think we really have any like hate to see it today, this week. Do we have some hates?
No.
All about love, everyone. Football's back, and we're staying pretty positive, except for the grind my gears. There's some things that have grinded my gears.
Yeah, you want to kick that off?
Yeah, I would love to kick that off, Brad. And then we're to get out of here. What grinds my gears this week, and I kind of alluded to it earlier in the show. When you expect, it's when earlier in the day when you have things planned and they just never go according to plan, even after your day has been set out. So I talked to you this morning. I had things set up, changed my schedule around already once that day. And then I get a couple phone calls and you have to throw everything aside. And you're going, you know what? I get it. It happens. That's life. But to have that continue over and over and over again, and then my car almost ran out of gas in the process. Didn't tell you that part. But what grinds my gear is I'm cool with adjusting my schedule. And I love it. But man, yeah. Brad, I was saying some other words there.
This is a frustrating day for Ryan.
Frustrating day for Ryan because I do plan and something happens. And then on top of it, love it. Ollie steps in a load of shit. And then I got to deal with that.
Yeah.
All good. That's not, I don't even know what grinds my gear is that my brain is so.
Here's what I'll say.
Jumbled.
We don't have to name names, but I think what you're trying to say, and I won't put words in your mouth. I think what you're trying to say is that when people make plans and commitments and don't stick to them, that's what grinds your gears.
There we go. See, that's what I need you for because I cannot articulate my thoughts at the moment. When I think about that,
yeah,
my brain turns to mush. Ugh. All right.
Got
what's
it.
yours?
You know what grinds my gears, Ryan?
What?
Having to buy produce.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain this. What does that even mean?
Having to buy produce is the biggest pain in the ass because if you don't eat it within 24 to 48 hours, it's bad. So when you try to eat healthy, you're going to be buying a lot of produce.
Mm-hmm.
The likelihood of it going bad before you can even get to it is pretty high. And it always pisses me off that, and if I want to eat and consume good produce, that I have to go to the grocery store literally every other day. That's what grinds my gears.
Okay. I mean, not all produce goes bad after 24 hours.
Most of it. Like strawberries, forget about it. Like the soft.
You know what? Grinds
lettuce.
What grinds my gears is when you buy something and it goes bad immediately. And then you're at that point of, well, do I take it back to the grocery store here because it went bad?
Yeah, you're going to be that asshole?
Yeah. Am I going to be? And you're not. You're going to be like, well, I bought it. It's whatever. And you don't want to take the time to go back to do it.
Right.
I'm with you with that. I would grind my gears if it expired quicker than what my mind or what my actual thought was. Like, get me to when I'm going to cook this or eat this.
It should last a week. Like whatever you buy at the grocery store should at least last you a week because you're going to buy once a week. Probably.
So how do you want to combat that?
I don't know. It just pisses me off. I guess that's why Instacart exists because you're like, I don't want to go to the damn grocery store. I'm going to pay somebody else to do it.
Yeah, reminds me I have to go to the grocery store after this and get some get my produce and what dinner's going to be tonight.
And if it's organic, forget about it. Just give me the GMO shit because it's going bad even quicker.
Well, you know what? Maybe eat healthier quicker. I don't know. Yeah, that's
gonna go to the grocery store every day.
Don't like it. Don't like it.
Here.
Play better. Eat better. Well, I think that does it for us, everyone. We appreciate y'all tuning in and the impromptu show. Thank you for everyone that did. As always, if you're still here and you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. We're going to have more coming later in the week, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
And hopefully see you at the event in Ken on Friday. Should be a lot of fun. Hey, it's just $50 for a ticket, food and drink included. Gosh, I don't even know who all the sponsors are right now. Deep Eddy Vodka, Hollywood Casino, Jimmy's Seafood, Benny Bone. We're going to have Cooperstown Distillery having bourbon samples. I mean, you name it. Things are there. We have these raffles and giveaways. I just put it out on my post. One of one, partner with the Barnwood Sports, and they make some tremendous stuff. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
We're going to have a good time. We're going to be sitting there talking football with J.O. and Pro Football Hall of Famer and Mr. Raven Jonathan Ogden's going to be there. Proceeds go to the foundation. It's just going to be a good time.
Yeah. looking forward to that.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. We're getting out of here. We'll see you next time. And thanks for tuning into the Ryan Ripken Show.
See you guys.